I'm sorry, did I miss something?
Oh, you are Mahendra Bhai. Okay, hi, how are you? Namaste.
No, that's Narendra Bhai.
No.
Mahendra Bhai will be reciting Naukar mantra, so pretty soon he'll be there.
Yes. Who is our Vadil, by the way?
Yes.
When are we seeing Avni on the stage?
Avni started showing her work. Did you see the work?
No.
The doodles on the Seva, we put it up, and then we put it in the newsletter also.
Sorry, I've been busy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Avni.
I'll send you the doodles.
Take a look. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So now we adding more graphics to our advertising. So, so we'll start. It's
we are live on YouTube now.
Okay. Jai Janendra, everyone. Welcome to KalaCircle. KalaCircle's watercolor workshop. And KalaCircle's mission is to raise this platform for creative arts in all different fields and to manifest Jain virtues through our art form. I would like Dr. Mahendra Bhai, who is our BOD member and who really appreciates art and who wants us to translate this medium into the meditative art. So welcome, Mahendra Bhai. Thank you. If you can recite the Naukar mantra and say a few words. Thank you.
Jai Janendra to everybody. I am Dr. Mahendra Shah. It's a pleasure to attend this session by reciting Naukar mantra. So we all will join to recite the Naukar mantra. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vajjayanam, Namo Loye Sabbasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Sabbapava Panasano, Mangalancha Sabvesim, Padamang Havai Mangalam. Pranam. KalaCircle is coming step by step with the art session of our life. As everybody knows, Tirthankara has put a lot of arts around us. Beautiful scenery, beautiful ocean and mountains and everything. That is also an art that has been captured by artists and that is presented to the community. We welcome all the artists and hope everything will be going on now onwards. Thank you. Thank you, KalaCircle, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mahendra Bhai. Thank you for your kind words. And if everybody who doesn't know Mahendra Bhai, but you must have seen all the projects which we have done over the years, especially the Jaina Convention and all that, the art, what you had seen, and the 25-year celebration and whatever celebration. Mahendra Bhai is always the lead on that. And so that's how I knew Mahendra Bhai before I got to know him better as a BOD member, that he really advocates art a lot and want to bring that we are all surrounded with art, even there. So there's so much art. So that's where we going to pretty soon start the docent training, which we had started a couple of years ago and will continue pretty soon. And with that token, thank you, Mahendra Bhai. And I would like to introduce our artist, Geetaben Deliwala. She is a artist, a fine artist she has done her master's from JJ School of Arts. And after coming here, she after a few years, when she started a family and when she got around with her daughters, one day when she went to Michael's and she it just couldn't stop her to start again, catch on to her brushes and start painting again. And she does beautiful jewelry also, where she has exhibited her work in the Orange County fairs and lots of other places. And I would like Geeta Ben to take over, and without any further ado, and she'll be demonstrating a watercolor art, a watercolor medium. It looks very simple, but once you try it, people find it very challenging, and we would like Geeta Ben to make it easy for us. Thank you, Geeta Ben.
Jai Jinendra, thank you, Meena Ben. Thank you for the introduction. Jai Jinendra, everybody. How is everybody doing? All ready to start the work?
Yes.
Already. So let's begin. What we are going to do today is we are going to do a watercolor painting, very, very loose watercolor painting. Nothing much to worry about. No special drawing skills or painting skills required. And Meena Ben said that I started very some time ago, but actually, to tell you the truth, watercolor I started only about 6 or 7 months ago, since the COVID. So without much ado, let's try to get what we need for this particular painting. What we are going to need, we all had the list of what is required. Actually, let me correct that also. This is not something that is required. What you really need is palette, water, brushes, and your paints. The paints do not necessarily have to be the colors that I have said. We can start with any 6 colors, which are 2 yellows, 2 reds, and 2 blues. And then we need the yellow ochre, because that is a neutral color. And if you have it, that's good. If you don't, that's also fine. We can improvise with that. We can mix colors to get what we really need for this. Basically, we are going to make we have the 3 primary colors, and we're going to make the 3 secondary colors, which is green, purple, and orange, out of the colors that we already have. So I think what we can start doing now is start working on the painting. So you all have seen the painting, and I'm going to start it right now. I don't know what happened. Just give me a minute. Just a second. Sorry about that little glitch.
So while we are waiting, just wanted to give you a little update. The next coming workshop will be on July 31st. Okay. Geeta Ben, you got it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Got it. So what we are going to need is basically the brushes that we are going to need are just going to be the basic brushes. We are going to use 4 brushes, starting with the very thick brushes. The thick brush, which is a size 12, little thinner than that and a little thinner than that. And then we need the flat brush. That is all we really need. They're all just 12, 6, 1, and the flat brush. Or it can be any number. As long as you're comfortable using the brush, we're fine. It has to have a nice tip, so that the round brush should have a nice tip, so that when you're painting, you can get a nice tip if you need it. Now we are doing such a loose watercolor that we are going to be okay with that. Then what we are going to need are pencil, the markers, watercolor palette, and 2 containers of watercolor. Again, that is not a necessity, but if you have 2, then you get brighter colors, fresher colors, so that your colors don't become dull with the dirty water. So what you do is you wash your brush in one, and you use the other to mix your colors or put water on your paper. So that is what we are going to do. Now, all we really have to do is, another thing we need is the masking tape. If you have it, If you do not, again, that's not a problem. But if you have the masking tape, you put it down, put your paper down and tape it down from all four sides so that there is no warping when you wet the paper. Now, if you do not have the masking tape and it warps a little, no worries, you can still straighten out the paper. So that is not an issue. Now, so this is basically what you're going to require for the watercolor that we are going to do. And after we are done with the whole demonstration, you can ask the questions, and Meena Ben is going to mediate for us, and you can ask the questions on chat. Even while the thing is going on, Meena Ben will mediate, but the questions will be taken at the end of the whole tutorial. So without any further ado, let's start with the tutorial. Now, this is what we are going to do. We are going to do the painting. So what we are going to do first is let's mix the paint palette. So I have the two yellows, and I'm mixing those two yellows and putting blue into it to make a green. And I put a little yellow ochre because I like my color a little bit more neutral, a little bit more, you don't have to, everybody can do whatever they want and it'll be fine. The colors don't have to be exact. They don't have to be, they just have to look like green and blue and etc. So no problems with that. We are doing fine. So let's begin mixing the colors. So we've mixed this yellow and green, yellow and blue, and we've got a green. Now we are mixing the red and yellow to get the orange. So again, we mix two primary colors to get the secondary color, and we are doing the same thing again with the red and the yellow. Then we're going to mix the yellow, the red and the blue to get a purple. So that's the red, that's the quinacridone red, and the blue. So we mix the red and the blue to get a nice purple. Now these are the three, so we are basically going to use the three primary colors to make the three secondary colors, and then we are going to use those 6 colors in our painting. You have to remember that it does not have to be exact. You don't have to mix a lot of paint, because you can keep mixing it the way, whichever way you want it, whenever you need it, and you can get the colors that you require. No one color, you can sometimes put color on color to get a different color, and that's fine. So this is going to be our palette. Now, what we're going to have to do is start with taping down the paper. You put down the paper and then start by taping it down with the masking tape. The reason why we do that, again, I'm letting you know, is so that the paper doesn't warp. You can put it straight on the table, if your dining table, if you're using masking tape, it's not going to affect the table in any way. Or you can use your mat, table mat, plastic table mat that you have. So it should be fine. There should be no problem. Start putting the masking tape on there. Now we're going to just do a very, very minimal outline just to make sure we know where we are going to place our flowers. So we are basically taking care of the composition, as you would call it. So that's what we have to do here. Place it and draw very, very, very light. Make sure you use the pencil very lightly, because what can happen is you don't want your paper to dent or be, watercolor paper can become rough, and then the watercolors will not look so good, will not go on smoothly. So do very light work and just place the basic paint, the basic outline. Then we're going to, okay. We're going to start with the yellow. What we're doing is putting very, very light water, basically a light wash on the paper, on certain parts of the paper. It doesn't have to be the whole paper. It can be in patches wherever you've done your drawing. It can be, and it could be just I'm doing it a little yellow just so that you can see it, but otherwise you can use just plain water. And that's what we've done so far. Now we're going to add the yellow on the side where the light, where you feel the light is coming from. If the light is coming from the left, that means you're going to put the yellow on the left side of the flower, of what we've drawn as the flower. It may not be exactly a flower right now, but trust me, it will become a flower. Now you can see that the yellow we are using is actually pretty intense. And you think, okay, it's so intense. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay. What happens when you put watercolor and it dries? Once it dries, it automatically becomes a little lighter. So we're going to be fine with putting dark color. Only thing is, remember, you're doing a watercolor, so use a lot of water. Use a lot of water. So we've put the yellow. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put orange, where a little darker orange, where in some spots where we think is the darker side of the flower.
This is like a glazing technique.
Yeah, so this, what we did was basically we put wet on wet. We did not do glazing yet. What we did was wet on wet. So when you do wet on wet, what happens is the color kind of spreads a little bit and fuses with the other colors. So when you're doing wet on wet, you get a big fused effect, which is basically what we want. And if in certain areas, if it's not there and we are getting sharper edges, that is also perfectly okay. Glazing is basically wet on dry. That means when your flower is dry, we're going to add other colors to it to make it a little brighter. I mean, to show more detail, but that will come a little later. Now, wet on wet is basically where you want very diffused picture. And basically that's what we are going to do today. Today we are concentrating on a very, very loose watercolor. So this is working out just absolutely fine. So we are just adding more color. That's all we are trying to do. This is a darker color. Again, see, when we are putting, if you feel that the color is too strong, or if you feel that you need to have a highlight somewhere, you can wipe it out with a paper towel. Wipe it means just dab it so that it becomes a little lighter. And that should work out just absolutely fine. If you feel that you don't need to and you're fine, just let it go. Now we are going to, with the thinnest brush that we have, which is the size 1 brush, we're kind of going to do a little bit darker work. That means we're going to put in the darkest red that we have, which is I used quinacridone. You can be using either crimson or alizarin crimson or another crimson hue. It doesn't matter. But just add the darker colors. And I'm doing it now, as you see that the painting has started to dry a little bit, which is fine. It's okay if it's drying a little bit. And because of that, what is happening is the intensity of the color is pretty strong. So we're going to leave it. That's fine. When we will soften the edges with a bigger brush after we are done with this. So we're just adding. as you can see that the color that we are adding is in certain patches, places a little bit darker and a certain lighter, because the water is, wherever there's water yet it's fusing. Now I'm going to use the bigger brush to blend the edges, because if you feel that there are too many strong edges, you can just take a brush with a little bit of water, pat it a little dry, and then just move it around the paint, around the color, so that it kind of fuses a little bit. So the edges don't look so harsh or so hard. Now with this flat angle brush, I'm just going to add a little bit of green, which we made out of the 3 yellows and the blue. I used ultramarine. You could be using Prussian or cobalt, or any green that you like. And what we are doing now is just giving a kind of a little bit of an outline to the, I mean, not outline, but a little form to the flowers that we've done by adding to the negative space. So this is again called negative painting. So this is where we paint the negative space to get us to bring out the positive, the flowers that our main subject. So I'm just adding the blue with a flat brush. Now I'm using a flat brush. I usually like to use round brush. There are times when I do use a flat brush, but I would still prefer to use a round brush. Now in this, because I wanted those strokes, I have used the flat brush. So, and now I'm just going to give a little bit of an make a little bit of an outline for the flower, still very loose to the flowers, very not a finished, we don't want to give it a very harsh outline because we want to keep it loose. So now as you can see, we are giving even more darker colors and a little bit better, what you call the outline to the flowers, the petals of the flowers. And so basically we just have to keep adding the greens and blues to the negative space. And in the process, we're going to give the flower a little bit more shape, a little bit more, where you feel, okay, now this looks a little bit like a flower. Till now it just looked like a blob. Now it looks like a little bit like a flower. So let's keep doing this and keep adding the color to the negative space. That means the space around our main subject. We are now adding the center of the flowers. This is the purple that we had mixed. We can use a purple, we can use a darker blue. And now we are going to kind of try to define the petals a little bit more by having very, very vague lines to show the differences. And I think I like this, yes. So is everyone comfortable till now? Is it going too fast? I understand if you feel that it's going fast because it's very difficult to watch something and then try to do it at the same time. So what we are going to do is we are going to try to keep it a little bit. What we all can do is we can watch this and then try to do it together, and we will do it together. Whatever you cannot catch up with, don't worry. You can always run this later as when in the video and see it later and then do it as you can then without having this demonstration.
You're doing okay, Geetavin. Go ahead.
Yes.
It's looking good. Thank you.
Keep adding the blues in the background, greens and blues. Now what happens, again, the glazing technique that Meenabin was talking about. Lots of times when you're adding a color on top of a color and the color dries up, what happens is that color takes on a different hue altogether. That means it's a combination of the blue, which was below, and the green, which was on top, which we are adding. And then, of course, if you're painting it onto the white too, you get a totally different third color. So basically what we are doing is we are getting more different colors on the painting without really having to mix the colors.
And basically the water being the medium is making it move.
Yes. Yes, the water makes the color move. So when you do wet on wet, basically, even if you just put a drop of color, it spreads wherever the water is. So that is wet on wet. I mean, that's how wet on wet works, where on paper, if you put the color, it just spreads with the water. So basically watercolors is why it's called watercolors, because you're using more water to get the color and get the texture and get the feel of the different levels of shades and colors to into the painting. And now we are adding orange a little bit. We had made a darker orange, but as you can see, we are now painting dry on wet, wet on dry. That means the paper has dried up, and now we can kind of define the petals a little better. The yellow below the orange is kind of a different color altogether now, if you can see. It gives you a third color altogether. So that is basically what glazing is. Now, yes, we're just going to give it a little, the flowers a little more definition by adding the oranges and doing some kind of little bit of line work. And we are defining the background while we add the petals. we're trying to define the petals a little bit more by with a very thin, with a thinner brush. And now we're using the thinner brush. So, well, I started with having the light coming in from the left, and then I decided I wanted the petal, particular petal darker, so I just did it. So it all depends. It's about your composition. It's about your work. It doesn't matter. Throw all other concepts out and do what you want to do. Feel the painting, basically. That's what you have to do. Now, I wanted to work on a little bit of dry paper. So I just dabbed it a little bit because it was too wet. I didn't want it so wet. So I dabbed it with a dry, clean paper napkin, so that it dries up a little faster. There are other ways of drying your work if you want to work on it dry. You can use people use the drying tool or anything, and you can do that way. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more depth by adding darker colors, and just to give the painting a little bit more depth. So it's a little bit of a slow process. You can speed it up if you want to. I just like to take a little bit of time and do it a little bit more particularly in certain areas to get the shape that I want. Adding a little bit of green in certain areas kind of gives the impression of leaf. That's why I'm just doing that, adding green in certain places. Now you can add do blue and then add yellow, and that should become a green too, if it's wet on wet also. A lot of painters do use mix their colors on the paper itself, and for some people it works out, but for our purposes I think it's better to just mix the color and then do it on the palette.
Yeah, because for that you need really the artist's paper, the heavyweight paper, and that definitely helps to put the paints on the paper mixing.
Little more shape to the main flower, and again a little bit more negative painting. Negative painting really brings out the subject the main subject of your painting. Doing a darker background, basically, doing a darker background brings out pops, makes the flowers pop. So we're going to do a little bit more of that and then add a little bit more dark colors. Now, a lot of times what happens is we want to work on our painting when it's dry. So while one area is drying, you can work on the other area, and that can help. Glazing, you have to remember, there are a couple of different ways of doing watercolor painting: wet on wet, wet on dry, dry on dry. And so what happens is that when you want to define something, you can do it in a lot of different ways, like doing just very free form outline and very sporadic outlines. They don't have to be a finished outline. It doesn't have to be outlined for the whole flower. Different colors can do that. Different textures can do that. The intensity of the colors can change to make that happen. So now we are just defining the petals a little bit more in the main painting.
Yeah, this is where the level of confidence comes in. You know, the more darkest.
You have to be enjoying it. Don't
Right.
worry about whether you are painting your first masterpiece or whether you are doing what you need to do. I mean, is it coming out the same? You don't want it to be same. You want it to be yours.
Right.
So there is no particular way to do it except the way you want to do it. No, I'm just taking. I didn't like that color, so I just took it off.
You can lift it while it's wet still. So.
Yes. If it's wet, you can lift it. You can lift it with the brush or you can lift it with the paper napkin.
Yeah. The moment you put the darkest values, that's when it gives the pop. So there are three values, right? The light, medium, and dark. So.
And the darkest value you want to add last, because that is what. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of scribbling because I think I'm pretty much done. It's very difficult to know when to stop. You feel that you're done, but no, you still want to do some more. And lots of times, less is more, I believe. So, just be happy with what you've done and finish with a flourish, just add little strokes. And then now we're just going to do the background a little bit more blue. We're going to add. Now, as we have put the masking tape, if you remember, we put the masking tape. Around the masking tape, if we do the colors, it gives a very nice clean edge to your painting when you take out the masking tape. You have to be very careful when you take out the masking tape. Don't be in a hurry to rip it out. Slowly take it out and it should come out. Your painting should come out in one piece. There won't be any tears. Now that just about does the background. And we might add a little bit more. I don't think we need to, but maybe a little bit darker colors in certain areas to kind of make the painting sit down. I mean, stay stable. Just about do it. Just a couple of strokes more. And there we go. We finish it with a flourish. And we are basically done with the painting. Just adding a little bit more strokes so that you are getting a little bit more dimension in the painting. And we're done. So this is basically the color that we have we've finished this. Now let your artwork dry completely. It has to be bone dry before you start the pen work. This is a little tedious, but it really is very enjoyable if you want to relax. So once the painting dries, now I know the pen work we might not be able to do today, but I'm going to show it to you anyway, just because I have the painting dry and I can do. What we are doing is with the pen work, we are taking, the reason why we are putting so much different colors and dots and all that we did is so that we can differentiate the different colors and we can outline each one with the pen. That's basically that's all I really have done. Each color in the shade, the different hue has been outlined with the pen. So that's what we have to now sit and do once the painting dries totally. So you see how the work is coming out. Just the pen, little, scribbles. Basically, all they are is little scribbles outlining all the different colors, and it kind of just brings the whole painting together.
Looks like a mosaic.
Yes, and sometimes you can do thicker lines if you don't want to do such thin lines, and that would make it look even more like a mosaic. That is just absolutely perfect. And everybody's piece is going to be different. No two people are going to have the same painting. So, and that is the beauty of watercolors. And we have your finished masterpiece. So, thank you, everyone.
Looks good. Thank you. You make it look so easy.
And I'm telling you, it is quite easy. It is a very easy. Now I'm going to give you a few minutes just to try and finish how much of it you can.
And then we can take questions and we can answer those.
Yes.
And anybody has any questions, any challenges?
Anyone?
Outstanding.
Can you please put the
Outstanding.
picture up, please?
Yeah,
I'm
can
not
you
finished
please?
yet.
Oh, they want you to
You
put the
want
picture.
Okay.
Put the picture up, please.
Your outline, your background came out so well. It looks like ribbons and things of that sort. Ours doesn't.
Thank you.
It comes with a practice.
Yeah, it takes a little time. Hi, Falguni. Nice to see you.
This was great, Geeta.
Superb.
So what portion did you have trouble with the background or flowers?
Flowers for me.
So was it in the beginning?
Problem with flowers. Ulasben tame?
Fine lining of the flowers when you did, yours look like flowers and mine look like Kabar Chitru.
But Kabar Chitru, that out of that only we can make flowers.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think Picasso was born,
This is unimaginably beautiful.
Watercolors is a difficult medium. What you really have to do is a lot of practice. I'm telling you, I must have wasted at least, well, I won't call it wasted anymore because I'm enjoying this now, but I must have done at least not less than
80, 100 paintings to get
Right.
one or two good work, you know.
Right.
What a-
It-
yeah, Meenabin, you were saying something?
no, go ahead. Someone had a question.
Okay.
I have a question. So what is a good way to keep the paper from warping? Because I kind of taped it, but still in the middle, the paper has warped and kind of bubbled up.
Okay.
So
for
is
th-
there
that-
a way?
Yeah,
there is a way.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Geeta.
One way of doing that is wetting the paper from below
First, okay.
first, then putting it down from below. Remember, you're wetting it below. Otherwise, the tape will not stick on the top. Wetting the
Oh, I
paper
see.
from below.
So how do you do that? Like just brush it
Yes,
with water on
yes,
the back side?
yes.
Okay,
Make sure that the board around the paper is dry
dry.
and then stick it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
The-
and stick it properly, because even if the chances are that sometimes it will still warp, even though it's
Yeah.
taken down.
Yeah, and then how do we flatten it? Like
Yeah,
if it did warp, just put it in a
you
thick
won't
book or
believe
something?
how warped my painting was. But I just put it under, once
Like a
it's
pile of
very, very
books?
dry. Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay.
There are the professionals, how they do it. We usually use cardboard. They have the big, huge cardboards from the art supply stores, any Blicks or anything, they have it.
Yeah,
And you wet the paper from the back, and then even from the top. I mean, the top will remove the stiffener from the paper, but then when you glue it down with the paper tape, the 2-inch
Yeah.
paper tape,
mhm,
you go around and then you stretch out that paper right away. It'll be flat by then.
I see.
And as Geeta Ben said, when the paper is done, then it'll have like kind of a binding at the end of the paper.
Hmm.
But these days, most of the artists, they let it warp also. It doesn't matter.
A lot of them don't tape it down at all. They let
Right.
it warp. Now,
Yeah.
the heavier paper you use, the less chances there are of warping.
Right.
So if you
Right.
want the paper to stay straight and you don't want to glue it, don't want to stick it down, you can use the heavier paper.
Yeah,
This is a 140 pound, I've said. If you
yeah,
use,
I'm not sure.
if you use even more than that,
Mhm.
like 300, 400 pounds, it's a very thick paper. The chances of it
Yeah.
warping too much is less.
And you use the hot pressed?
Cold press.
I like the cold press.
Cold
It
press.
depends.
Okay.
See what
Okay.
happens with the hot press. There is less texture,
Yes, yeah. Okay.
and
The
I like a
watercolor,
little bit of
yeah.
texture. So that is a question of choice. What
Yeah,
your
sure.
choice is. If you like something
texture.
with more texture, then you use the cold press.
Yeah,
If you like it with less texture, then you use.
yeah.
It's very important to use good quality. If you're really thinking of doing watercolors, try to get the best quality materials.
Paper. Yes.
Okay? Paper and paint.
And paint. Yes.
These are the two important things. Paper and paint. Brushes also, I'm not that this thing about brushes. If they're, as long as they have a nice tip
Mhm.
and you maintain them, you take care of your brushes,
Yeah.
brushes are fine. But paper and color has to be good quality pigment. The
Yeah.
color has to be very good quality pigment.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise
you.
the colors will fade, and especially if you use 300-pound paper, you definitely need artist colors. Otherwise,
But
it's
what
not going to
happens,
come
yeah.
out right.
The paper soaks the water, the color so much that it really lightens up. Now, like I said, if you're using a dark color and you say, wow, this is vibrant, when it
Mhm.
dries, it's probably
No.
30% lighter,
Yeah.
at least 30% lighter.
Yeah, I can see it already.
Yeah.
It's the lightning.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to do like calligraphy or something on the top, then hot press is good enough, you know.
Yes.
So it depends what you want to do eventually with that
Now, I
background.
have used pen on this. So if I want to
Yes.
use pen, I usually want to use hot press because then it's a little bit smoother and
Smoother,
it's easier on the
yeah.
pen, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
The pen work.
So does anyone want to share their picture?
Please do.
Not me.
Falguni, let's see yours. Oh, lovely.
Oh, I
we
can't,
can
I
see,
don't
we
know.
can see.
I
Oh,
can't-
okay.
Can you see?
Wow, that's beautiful.
we can't see it.
Oh, you
Oh,
can't
put it on
Oh,
gallery
okay,
view.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's
Great.
beautiful.
Oh, that's
wow.
oh my gosh.
Let's see yours, Ullasben.
No, it is,
તમે કર્યું છે કે નહીં કર્યું?
કર્યું ને, but it is censored.
Oh,
Oh, lovely.
It's good.
No, it's very nice, Ullasben.
Yeah.
No, it is censored.
no.
મીનાબેન, તમે કર્યું કે નહીં?
No, એ મારે કરવાનું છે. I'll do it as a homework.
Okay. What about
I'll
the other
definitely
people?
do
What
it.
about Manjari Ben and Avni Ben?
Avni was doing it. Avni
Manjari Ben is, can you hear me?
Manjari Ben, let's see yours.
Manjari Ben, I cannot show you.
Oh,
I cannot show you. Gita Ben, I cannot show you.
Oh,
I'm
you
sorry,
can't-
mine is awful.
But at least show your face. We miss your face, Manjari Ben.
Wow.
Okay,
very
I'll show you my face.
Hey,
Let
there's
me
something
see.
let's see,
Sorry.
Manjari Ben. Batao.
Samir is showing
Ah,
Oh,
Avni's.
nice.
Start video. I'm saying
I can't
start
see
video.
Avni's. I didn't see it.
Avni Dekar.
Can you see me? No.
1 minute, 1 minute.
I think I am.
There you
Oh,
go, yeah.
There,
Now
Gita,
show me. Oh,
Avni's
that's
is
lovely, Samir bhai.
Very good, Samir.
Very
bhai.
nice.
Beautiful, Avni Ben.
Thank you. I just tried.
on.
Very
No, that's good.
Very
That's
nice.
good. Thank you for participating. Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Oh, thank you for
Can I
having.
say something?
Thank
Can you-
you.
Yes,
हाँ,
please,
Mahendra
Samir bhai,
bhai.
Follow.
Yeah, sorry. I am among the professional artists, but this is what I'm thinking is for the beginner. Is it making a somewhat much impression when the object is in front of you and you are going to paint it? Because this is what is impression in your mind and you are creating the flowers or the flower pot or whatever may be. But if there is a flower pot in front of you and you are painting it, for the beginner, is it it's a good idea, or what do you think?
Is it a good idea to have the object or the particular object in front of you? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, yes.
And I like a still life. If you have the still life in front of you and you're copying it.
Yeah.
Actually, that is very good. But the idea of when I'm working with my paints, I am not concerned about getting a realistic picture of anything. We are giving a very loose impression of what the work that we are doing. And it is basically about imagination. It is about your imagination. It may be
Right.
something you saw. It may be something you saw another painting of, and that then you are doing your own work. So
The
Yeah, right.
impressionist style.
That's you're creating the on your impressions.
Right.
But
yes,
But-
so that's
but you must have some impression in your mind, right?
I agree with you. I agree
Yeah.
with you there. For a beginner, it might be.
I'm muted, I think.
Am I muted?
No,
No.
we can hear you. We
Okay.
can hear you.
I it may be difficult, but I don't think so. I think sometimes, a lot of times, my impression is that you may not know, I'm telling you, you may not know how to draw a flower.
Is it?
It's not necessary to know how to draw a flower. But if you can imagine something and you play with your colors, you can create beautiful art. That is my impression.
This is the actual watercolor painting, because otherwise it's like a photograph, you know. So
People want to make it realistic, basically. We want to kind of give it an impression of what you are thinking or feeling. You're not concerned with reality in a way.
That may be something like a modern art.
Well, yes, you can. I don't know what you would call it. I don't know whether it's modern art, impressionist art.
This is not the modern art.
no, this
We
is
can-
very
we-
impressionist.
We can realize the flowers and everything, but
Right.
sometimes.
No, but
it
modern
was-
art is, I'm telling you, modern art, it's a wrong impression that modern art, all modern art is where you don't realize what they are doing. Not necessary. It's not like that. I think that is something that a lot of people have the impression of, okay, modern art means kabar chitra. એવું નથી. એવું નથી. It's also how you are looking at the particular painting, And in modern art, some people might see flowers, some people might see, figures, and some people might not see anything. Just colors. It's all a question of, it depends on what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Sonalibin, if you had any comments, we would like to hear from you, Sonalibin.
Yeah, Sonalibin.
She's an architect, so she must be
Right.
Oh, lovely, Manjari, nice.
Sonalibin, when are you going to teach perspective drawing?
Where is Sonalibin?
I don't know. We saw her signed in,
Yeah, she is signed in, I know. I think she's
Right.
trying to finish her
You know
work.
what? I was actually using her
Gita Ben.
computer.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
was using her computer.
oh,
Sorry
okay,
about that. It
okay.
was me.
Oh, who is that? Falguni?
no,
No, Namrata.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it sounded like Namrata. Okay, got it. Okay. So no, lovely, lovely. No, it's a good start. I would like everyone to attempt this because this is the foundation, for afterwards if you want to do a creative calligraphy and all that. So please build up on this. This is really
and
a
keep
good
on
foundation.
drawing, keep painting. It doesn't matter if you feel kya kabar chitra lage che kya. There are paintings that I have done that I was ready to throw away, and then a little pen work. Like, look at this. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Show it again, please. Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to throw this away, and then I did a little bit of pen work, and I said, no, that looks okay.
Yeah, that looks good. Artistic.
Then there are,
Excellent.
Yes.
this was another one that I was going to just throw away.
Wow.
That looks
we-
pretty.
Then
So,
Beautiful.
I have done a lot. I mean, I do painting, and then sometimes I like to leave them without any pen work
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
they've come out not too bad.
Wow. Beautiful.
Thank
But
you.
I love Geeta. I love the pen work, that style. Like it is I just love
Yeah,
it.
I think it's
It's very. It makes it so different from all the other paintings that we usually.
I
see.
agree.
Yeah.
Yes, very true.
really,
Very
very
Geeta, I
creative. Very creative.
I have a question.
Yes, Manjari Ben.
The green color that I had in my head didn't come up with mixing. So I wanted a certain green color and I couldn't get it.
What kind of green color did you
Mixing.
want? તમને કયો
Uh,
color જોતો હતો? એકદમ sap green જેવો
It
જોતો
was
હતો?
not emerald green and not mixture of
Mixed color.
emerald and
More yellow. I think what you are looking for is more yellow. The lighter
Yeah.
yellow, the yellow,
So
lemon yellow, and little bit of blue will make that. Very little.
oh,
blue.
little bit of blue. Okay, lemon yellow.
add,
Lemon
okay.
yellow and little bit of blue.
don't add the yellow to the blue. Add just a blue to
Little
the
bit
yellow.
of blue to the
Yeah. Is it cobalt blue?
Yes.
Cobalt?
You can use cobalt. You can use cobalt.
Yeah.
You can use.
Okay, because the other one is darker.
Yes, but that is also fine. You can use the
Yeah.
Prussian blue also, Manjari Ben. It's okay.
Okay,
But very little. It should be just a
very little.
Little dot
Yeah.
of.
That's where I goofed, I think.
Yeah. Always add the darker to the lighter,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
very little.
Oh,
Then
that's
you
a
can
good
always,
philosophy.
yeah.
And then you can always add more, but
add more.
start with
Right.
very little darker to the lighter. Yeah, you're right, Bida Ben. I never thought of that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good idea.
Bye, Ulasan.
So I would like to thank everyone for coming today, and
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for
Thank
encouraging.
you. This was
Yeah.
great.
thank you, AV team. They've been so supportive.
Narendra Bhai, thank you so much. Samir Bhai,
Yeah, and
Namrata, and
Mahendra Bhai for coming and invoking
Narendra Bhai. Yes, Narendra Bhai, thank you so much. Thank you for being here with us today.
and please send us the photo painting so we can put it up on our Facebook, on the Derasa's Facebook.
Okay. Who's going? Narendra Bhai will say, what are you talking about?
If they can send it to you or me, the paintings, whatever they've done, we can put it up on.
That would be lovely, so that we can see it. Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
we can even put it in the newsletter or something, but we'll try to put it out, so we know everyone's efforts.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Falguni, send me yours.
Yeah. I'll do the pen work because I'm very, very keen on doing that.
Okay. It sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.